his career as advocate at Anantapur. Though I don't have personal knowledge till my lord become like a judge, but I heard through my friends. After my lord become the judge of this honorable court, through my friends Sapada Reddy and Venkata, who are the fellow bar council members in the combined bar council, I used to hear about my lord. Whenever they contacted me, they never forget to mention my lord's name. Whenever there is a conversation, that was the maintained relationship and the reputation that was maintained by my lord. And another person, Rabindranath, who is also, I think, office colleague of my lord. And I came to know about my lords. And not only my lord hails from the advocate family, and his grandfather was a freedom fighter, and also his father-in-law, his brother-in-law, and his brother are advocates. And not only that, my friend Rabindranath shared some information with me. And when my lord was practicing at Anantapur during some cultural event, incidentally my lord played a role of magistrate in the playlet, and subsequently my lord became the magistrate and reached the highest position in the state. My lord, I never find my lord deciding any case without having clarity, and there are no mincing, whether senior or junior, and until and unless the issue is clear and got clarity, my lord never decided the case and postponed and gave opportunity. With these few words, I take this opportunity to wish my lord a peaceful. My lord used to say that even after the retirement, he don't want to continue this kind of life and want to lead peaceful life. I wish my lord and his family members a peaceful retired life. And one's request is that my lord, without much pressure, we are planning to have a advocates academy. At least my lord shall play an important role with his vast experience training the advocate friends in the state. I again wish my lord a peaceful retirement life and take the leave.
With the permission of my lord, the Honorable the Chief Justice, may I now request the Learned Assistant Solicitor General, High Court of AP, to commence his speech on behalf of the legal fraternity.
My Lord, the Honorable Chief Justice, my Lord Justice Venkata, Judges of this Honorable Court, Madam Venkata, family members of the learned judges of this court, Learned Advocate General, Chairman Bar Council, President of the Bar Association, senior advocates, staff of this court. My Lord, from the next working day, the bar will be using an excellent judge on the bench. With his illustrious 35 years of career as a judicial officer, wherever my Lord worked, he left his mark. For instances, my Lord, I have to recollect. In Warangal, 10-court complex was sanctioned, but for some reasons, even after 4 years of sanction, the work could not start because the local parties, the bar. My Lord, when he was the principal district judge, made a minor change in the plan and the complex was completed, which was inaugurated by the Honorable Chief Justice last month. With his indulgence, my Lord, the advocates of Warangal remember my Lords on a daily basis whenever we interact with them. Similarly, I had an opportunity to appear before him when he was the principal session judge for CBI cases. He was thoroughly a perfect judge on bench, where he was also guiding young advocates to conduct proper trial. We learned a lot by appearing before him. That apart, one instance, my Lord, which I have to recollect, the special courts were away from the Metropolitan Sessions Courts complex. There the facilities for advocates were not there at all. My Lord, with his indulgence, directed the bar presidents and other senior advocates to ensure that proper facilities are there for the advocates and women advocates will come there. With this indulgence, not the proper bar has been formed there and proper infrastructure was there. So probably because of his experience and coming from family of advocates, my lord had that personal touch with the bar, and for him the bar would be always indebted. My lord, on this day, all that we can say is, we wish you kindly be available for all the legal fraternity in future, whenever God gives this opportunity. With these few words, I pray God to ensure a happy and peaceful life for my Lord Justice Venkata. Thank you.
With the permission of my Lord, the Honorable Chief Justice, may I now request the Honorable Chief Justice Venkata to deliver the speech.
My Lord, Justice Prashant Kumar Mishra, the Chief Justice of Andhra Pradesh, my esteemed brothers and sisters judges, Land Advocate General, the President, AK High Court Advocate Association, the Chairman, Bar Council of Andhra Pradesh, Lord Additional Solicitor General, my family members, senior advocates, younger generation of lawyers, advocate friends who have come from different places of both the states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, the registrars of this court, judicial officers, staff of this court, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. As I sit here, maybe a lost occasion, as a judge of this court, my mind is filled up with joy, flashing back the memories. I cherish some and prefer to reject a few being unworthy. A long journey in the service of this great institution has come to an end now. A prime part of my life for nearly 35 years thus passed by in the service of this great institution. This career did not remain a road for me of full force. Experience is dotted with events that made me and my family proud. Not an easy task for the one who had to climb up the ladder in progression of career, getting over the obstacles that were wantonly thrown at me in this journey. However, the peers that serve this institution at all levels give me necessary strength, moral and physical, to make this day comparatively smooth and reasonably fair. I should gratefully acknowledge the support I had in my early days of caring from High Court. I rate my stay of 3 years in City Civil Court, Hyderabad, as an assistant judge being the best. Possibly, it opened up the vistas for a vision to pursue in my life. Handling different subjects as a judge of anti-corruption courts gave another dimension to understand the human frailties and certain insight into jurisprudence of a different order. Learning fundamentals in administration office, the pleasure I had in dealing with an assortment of subjects including under different special acts boosted up my confidence to invite any kind or type of subject in this constitutional court in a non-challenging manner. Since I molded my life in this institution more as a recluse, as the demands of the duty and call of institutional discipline required, I seldom made attempts to socialize. Therefore, it became inevitable for me to spend a good part of my time on the bench and the work at home. The court always became a playground for me to enjoy. It was the only place where I could closely watch and observe a cross-section of society, be it lawyers, clients, etc. Thus, wrapping always in a positive and happy mood. I did not let go any moment on the bench useless. I cherish these memories for long. This process of churning of my mind did not remain content with these experiences. I continued to ponder over the way this institution adopted itself to the changes taking place in and around the social order. These instances gave way for different kinds of litigation, dominating the scene and engaging the attention of the courts in the hierarchy. It has a lot to do with economic activity, striving to achieve the goals which this great nation had set for itself. The key factor always remained being a constant urge for achievement of betterment in all walks of life and spheres of activity. After adopting the Constitution of India, there were instances requiring interpretation and adaptation to meet the goals set out in its preamble, particularly to secure justice, social, economic and political. Foundation was laid from the times of Pankajam Dorai Rasan, Golaknath, A.K. Gopal, Adorable Keshavananda Bharati, Minerva Mills, and recent NJAC from 1950 till date to MFU to form up the domain of public law remedies that are drawing a great part of attention of all the constitutional courts. There have been instances in such an arduous journey that can best be forgotten. The institutional operators did not remain quiet when attempts are made to affect its identity and credibility. This domain is gaining strength each day as each day is passing by. A large volume of litigation in this field is a strong indicator of assertive action. It cannot be an instance of burden in the docket, but it is an instance more in the nature of docket inclusion. Traditional litigation, that is civil and criminal matters, though remain the backbone of this institution at various levels. Inroads were made from certain special branches of law on account of land requisition or land reforms in the 1960s and 1970s. Later, this scene started getting dominated by the claims for compensation under various beneficial enactments. At this juncture, in about 1980s, a new thought process of recognizing the efficacy and efficiency of alternative modes of dispute resolution started building up. It's now rooted firmly with the establishment of statutory bodies for arbitration, mediation, conciliation, and settlement through local adalats. Opening up of economy in 1990s in this country had its impact on this system. Not only it had led to crass consumerism affecting the traditional traits of Indian society and its culture. It gave rise to assertion of rights, either real or imaginary, in public law domain and through special tribunals like consumer forum. In fact, these events and happenings around are giving an impression that the pure and simple traditional litigation is taking a beating due to the plethora of tribunals and adjudicative forums, almost invading its jurisdiction to the extent of denuding its utility. In spite of these challenges attempting to alter the contours of the existing judicial apparatus, silver lining is that it has welcomed them with open arms, embracing every other alternative facet and genuinely reminding that their activities are subject to judicial review and nudging ultimately to the statutory confines. This great ability of adaptation, in my considered view, is silent revolution. In this process, the institution as a whole did not compromise or permit erosion of its edits or values. It stood by what it believed and cherished. There cannot be a better example of this process of adaptation than considering the present challenge posed by the pandemic and the way the system itself has met this challenge. When what once thought being a gigantic task in employing virtual mode of adjudicatory system and court procedure, a quiet transition has set in. Many virtual courts were started long ago with a great fanfare and a clear publicity, unnecessarily wasting the public money. Their utility, as experience shows, and as I understand, is minuscule, not visible. This pandemic made us to run after other ways to keep this institution functional. Devised are the ways by ingenious modes upon simple computer applications, relying on existing and readily available facilities. This process did not go unnoticed. It has kept the courts afloat at all levels, providing functional efficiency. They are reflective of a serious and strenuous efforts in national building activity by this institution. It should be acknowledged by one another. I just remind all of you that when my Lord the Chief Justice addressed us on January 26th, he reminded us of the necessity to make this institution for the purpose a better place for building activity. I just reminding myself of this fact. As a constitutional entity, this court has onerous responsibility as sentinel and keyway to safeguard rights and interests of everyone entitled to and deserving. Fairness and transparency are the hallmarks of this court. It will continue forever. Not like what Shakespeare threw infamous three witches in Macbeth in the opening scene said, "When is fall, fall is fair." Foreshadowing what is to come. My experience as a judge of this court has been pleasant. I enjoyed the affection of all my brother and sister judges plenty. Indeed, it has been a smooth sailing. I am beholden to Shri, Justice Praveen Kumar, then Acting Chief Justice, who administered oath of office to me as the second judge of this court after establishment. I also thank the Chief Justice of Justice A.K. Parameshwari, as His Lordship then was, Justice Anil Kumar Goswami, and Sri Justice Prashant Kumar Mishra for their support and giving me an opportunity to decide cases in various branches of law. The improvements made to the library of this court and of the district judiciary, spending a few crores of rupees through library committee chaired by me, with the excellent cooperation of my esteemed brother Shri Ramana and Shri Devotional, gave me immense satisfaction. Library of this court has many new additions, including the standard works like Ulster's of England. I place on record my deep appreciation of the assistance offered by Sri Ramakrishna, Registrar Management, Sri S.V.R. Murthy, Joint Registrar, and their team. I thank the registrars of this court and staff. Particularly, I should acknowledge the services of stenographers who worked for me at all levels. I also appreciate and place on record the services rendered by Srimati Gauri, Court Officer, Srimati Saroja, Srimati Sarojini, Sri Rami Reddy, Srimati K. Anuradha as secretaries, Sri Gautam, Kumari B. Leela, law clerks, Sri Ankara, who is the driver, personal staff of the court, personal staff of the court, Sri Anand Kumar, Govind, Henry, and personal staff at my residence, Sri Basha, Rahul, Sridhar, Srimati Radhika, and Shri. Special thanks are due to my family that could bear me all through these years. I pay my obeisance to the God Almighty, my spiritual gurus, and my parents on this occasion. I thank the Advocate General, the President of the Bar Association, the President Bar Council of Andhra Pradesh, Chairman Bar Council of Andhra Pradesh, and Sri Harinath, Assistant Solicitor General, in being very kind to me in this address. I also especially thank my Lord the Chief Justice being so kind to me in his address. Before parting, I remind myself what Robert Frost says in his famous poem, The Road Not Taken. Two roads traversed in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. For me, this is not an end in my public life. The road goes on. Thank you. Thank you.
With the permission of my Lord, the Honorable the Chief Justice, may I now declare that the proceedings are concluded.